Did you ever wonder what happened to the signers of the Declaration of Independence? On July 4th, 1776, delegates of the Continental Congress voted to accept the Declaration of Independence in Philadelphia's Independence Hall. On August 2nd, 56 men signed their names to this historic document giving birth to a new nation. If George Washington's ragged, outnumbered army could not drive back the British troops, every signer, upon capture, would be tried for treason against the British Crown, under penalty of death. Their signatures could, win or lose, mean that their homes would be looted and burned. If Washington surrendered in defeat, their farms, businesses, and properties would be confiscated or destroyed. 56 men knew when they signed that they were risking everything, including their lives. Yet, to a man, the desire for freedom drove them to sign and make this pledge: for the support of this declaration with a firm reliance on the protection of divine providence, we mutually pledge to each other our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor. Who were these super patriots? Most were well-educated, prosperous businessmen and professionals. 24 were lawyers or judges. 9 were farmers or plantation owners. 11 were merchants. Among them were also physicians, politicians, educators, and a minister. Several were sons of pastors. Ever wonder what happened to the men who signed the Declaration of Independence? Here is the fate of that gallant 56. Carter Braxton of Virginia, wealthy planter and trader, saw his ships swept from the seas by the British Navy. To pay his debts, he lost his home and all his properties and died in poverty. Thomas Lynch Jr., an aristocratic plantation owner, was a third-generation rice grower. After he signed, his health failed. With his wife, he set out for France to regain his declining health. Their ship never reached France, and he was never heard from again. Thomas McKean of Delaware was so harassed by the enemy that he and his family were forced into hiding, moving 5 times during the war. He served in Congress without pay. Poverty was his reward. Vandals and enemy soldiers looted the properties of Bartlett, Ellery, Clymer, Hall, Hayward, Walton, Rutledge, Middleton. The latter 4 were captured and imprisoned. Francis Lewis had his home and everything in it destroyed and his wife imprisoned. She later died from the brutal treatment she had received. After signing the Declaration, Richard Stockton, state Supreme Court Justice, rushed back to his estate near Princeton to save his wife and children. Although he and his family found refuge with friends, a Tory betrayed them. Judge Stockton was pulled from bed and beaten by British soldiers, jailed and deliberately starved. After his release, with his home burned and all his possessions destroyed, he and his family were forced to live off charity. John Hart was driven from his dying wife's bedside, their 13 children scattered in all directions as they fled for their lives. His fields and grist mills were laid waste. For more than a year, he lived in forests and caves and returned home after the war to find his wife dead, his children gone, his properties destroyed. He died a few weeks later of exhaustion and a broken heart. John Hancock lost most of his fortune during the war, having given more than $100,000 to the cause of freedom. Caesar Rodney was gravely ill with facial cancer. Unless he returned to England for treatment, his life would end. Yet Rodney sealed his fate by signing the Declaration of Independence. As a captain in the Continental Army, Nathan Hale volunteered to penetrate enemy lines and spy for the American cause. He was captured by the British. On the day of his execution by hanging in September 1776, Hale spoke these last words: "I only regret that I have but one life to lose for my country." In all, 5 of the 56 were captured by the British and tortured. 12 had their homes ransacked, confiscated by the enemy, or burned to the ground. 17 lost their fortunes. 2 lost their sons in the army. Another had 2 sons captured. 9 of the 56 lost their lives in the war from wounds or hardships inflicted by the enemy. These were just a few of the examples of sacrifices made by those 56 courageous men who boldly pledged their all to support the Declaration of Independence. Of those who took the pledge to defend the sovereignty of their nation and the liberty of its people, many were forced to pay a heavy price before that bold vision could be realized. It is important to remember this about them. Despite the hardships they encountered, Regardless of the heavy price exacted by that pledge, not a single one of them defected or failed to honor his pledge. These men of means, prosperity, and security, who enjoyed much ease and luxury in personal living, considered liberty to be so much more important than security that they pledged their lives, their fortunes, and their sacred honor. And they fulfilled that pledge. They paid that price. And freedom was born.